stand before you today not knowing how I'm walking right now because my heart hurts for my son. Trayvon is my son. Trayvon is your son. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all your support. It means a lot to me and my family. We really appreciate it. We want justice for Trayvon.
Yeah. Trayvon could have been any one of our sons. Trayvon could have been any one of us. Trayvon represents a reckless disregard for our lives that we've seen too long. And we come to tell you tonight, enough is enough. We are tired of going to jail for nothing and others going home for something.
Let's talk about the Trayvon Martin case and what's going on in Florida.
Well, I have a different take, Brian, on that. I believe that George Zimmerman, the overzealous neighborhood watch captain, should be investigated to the fullest extent of the law, and if he is criminally liable, he should be prosecuted. But I am urging the parents of Black and Latino youngsters particularly to not let their children go out wearing hoodies. I think the hoodie is as much responsible for Trayvon Martin's death as George Zimmerman was.
Welcome to On the Spot. I'm your host, Norman Graham. Political correspondent is Saquan Jones. This week's show, Trayvon Martin. He was shot February 26th.
Norm, I am wearing my hoodie. Listen, before we start this show, I'm wearing my hoodie and I am not a blood, all right? This is I'm a member of the noble clan of Kappa Alpha Psi. So I want to make sure that when all police officers or people who are not familiar with my organization do not misconstrue what my hoodie and my colors stand for.
Okay.
All right? But I think that as the father of a 16-year-old son, I'm absolutely devastated by what happened. And
let's start about who is Trayvon Martin.
Well, Trayvon Martin was a black male, 17 years old. You know what? I don't even want to make it about race.
Stanford, Florida.
Stanford, Florida. I don't want to make it about race just yet. All right? I know that the case is completely driven by race.
Okay.
What I want to make it about is someone took it upon themselves to take a child off the face of the planet. Okay. Based off of stereotype.
For those who don't know, explain it to the people.
Trayvon Martin's a 17-year-old high school student who was looking at the basketball game, left his house, and then went to get some Skittles and Arizona iced tea. Well, I don't know if that was the idea, but this is what he derived at once he left the 7-Eleven.
Okay.
George Zimmer was the self-appointed neighborhood watch of a neighborhood
self-appointed captain
of a neighborhood watch, where there have been a number of burglaries within the community, and he was patrolling the gated community to make sure that there were no unwarranted individuals within the complex. Trayvon Martin was living with his father, was leaving his house and then going back to his dad's house. George Zimmerman saw him, thought that black males should not be in this complex, in this gated community, and took it upon himself to pursue Trayvon Martin, and not only pursue but engage and ultimately kill Trayvon Martin.
Killed him, shot him. Might be in the back. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, it might be in the back. Yeah, well, I don't know. I know it was in his chest. I know it was in the midsection. I don't know what
happened
entry.
February 26th.
And we are now in March.
Today, the police top police officer for Stanford, Florida, was not relieved temporarily of his duties.
Yes. And for this man not to be arrested based off of protocol shows that there has to be some changes within Florida's legislative system or judicial system.
Well, as of today, March 22nd, this, as I said, the commanding officer stepped down. Somewhere along the line, the new commanding officer should have started by arresting this man. showing that he's taking the lead.
Why are we not hearing that the investigative officers are not standing down? Why? That's what I want to know. I don't.
They've never, if I'm not mistaken, they've never interviewed this man.
Exactly. Blaming the chief of police is almost in that community is almost like blaming the parent of Marilyn Manson. You understand? The parent had nothing to do with the child's actions. Mm-hmm. This chief had nothing to do with these officers' actions, although the result of it is going to ultimately come down on the chief. But the officers did not follow the proper protocol.
Supervising?
I hear you. I understand who's supervising. I understand
we're talking about 26 days later. If nobody's been arrested, who's supervising? There's a possibility. First thing first. Are you aware that the kid was drug tested for drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
But again, Zimmerman, there's nothing been done with him to find out was he on drugs.
I don't even want to take this that direction, no, right? And I hear you. But I agree with you.
But why not?
Because there's so many flaws to the system.
Okay.
That need to be addressed in this situation.
So should it start with the top?
It should start with the top, which it has.
Okay.
But ultimately, and we could go to B-roll too, right? When we discussed in a previous show about the recruitment of law enforcement in this country, where you have individuals who are coming into the force with stereotypes associated with, in their ideas, stereotypes associated with certain ethnicities, certain genders.
Okay.
They're not smart enough to deduce how something can have easily gone wrong, or smart enough to deduce
this man has
something
no
that
training.
is clearly there.
First thing, he has no training. That's the first thing.
He was looking to be a police officer.
That picture that they keep showing of him is a picture when he was arrested.
Okay.
So he was arrested, which usually disqualifies you in most states, for depending on what it was.
Let's not go there because he could have been arrested for public urination and then got dismissed.
But now, that's the first thing. We don't want to make this a law enforcement issue because law enforcement didn't do this. This was the neighborhood watchman, who has made 46 complaints from year to date. From March to March, he's made 46 complaints calling police for some of everything. So they should have realized that he had a problem. But not only that, his gun license should have been revoked. That's the first thing. Now, Mr. Zimmerman is out there. He calls, as we listened to a little while ago, he called a young man a coon.
Yeah.
Which means now this might be a hate crime.
Sanford Police Department, line is being recorded.
Hey, we've had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. It's Retreat View Circle. The best address I can give you. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining, and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie, and either jeans or sweatpants and white tennis shoes. He's here now. He was just staring.
Oh, he's just walking around the area?
At all the houses.
Okay.
And now he's just staring at me.
Okay, he said
that's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Do you know what he's near the clubhouse right now?
Yeah, now he's coming towards me.
Okay.
He's got his hand in his waistband. Yeah, he's a black male.
Okay. How old would you say he
He's
looks?
got a button on his shirt. Late teens.
Late teens, okay.
Mm-hmm. Something's wrong with him. Yeah. He's coming to check me out. He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is.
Okay, just let me know if he does anything, okay?
Over here.
Yeah, we got him on the way. Just let me know if this guy does anything else.
Okay. They always get away. Down towards the entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
All right, sir. What is your name?
George. He ran.
All right, George. What's your last name?
Zimmerman.
And George, what's the phone number you're calling from? All right, George, we do have them on the way. Do you want to meet with the officer when they get out there?
Yeah.
All right, where are you going to meet with them at? Okay, do you live in the area?
Yeah.
Well, what's your apartment number? Okay, do you want to just meet with them right near the mailboxes then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let them know to meet you with you out there.
Actually,
okay?
could you have him call me and I'll tell him where I'm at?
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
So with this here, what I want to know is, what do you tell your son, for example, after looking at the news and watching this for the past couple of weeks? Because before we go to that, what I would like to say is, finally, white America has waking up. I mean, this has been happening to us forever.
I don't want this to be about that, because they should have woken up after Rodney King. If you really want to put a time date on when they should have been woken up, a man getting pummeled to death almost with batons by 4 police officers while it's being taped, and that's when it should have been 1992. It should have happened. Now we're recycling it again.
This has been going on forever in our community.
I agree.
And I think they just had 3 kids in Mississippi that just got convicted today also. But the problem is, they didn't realize it was a problem till social media. Reverend Al Sharpton, which is condolences to his mother, has passed away today, and they're having a big rally out in Florida, and he's attending while his mother has passed away. Takes a hell of a man to do that. Mm-hmm. But social media and, we'll say, liberal talk radio, who we got to give credit to, Al, Ed Schultz, Rachel Maddow,
right,
kept this going.
Fox has not been at the forefront of this matter, which is an absolute travesty. They're not at the forefront because they are in bed with gun rights and NRA. This is a conservative issue,
yes,
and they're not going to touch it, which is a tragedy.
Yes, but now, getting back to it, what do you say? You don't want to deal with this on a racial issue, but in our community, this is something we've been targeted like this on a regular basis. Now, I don't like getting into this, and this is my reason why, because we have enough black-on-black crime that we should be outraged about.
Okay, yeah.
But,
and when I told, because I have a Facebook page, and I put this out there, I don't blame George Zimmerman. I don't blame race in this country.
I saw that. Go ahead.
I don't blame George Zimmerman. I don't blame race in this country. I blame our accessibility to guns. I blame the fact that you have a stand your ground law in Florida. I blame the fact that having a gun has been tremendously accessible for individuals in southern states. I blame the fact that we are in a state of emergency where when you have an individual who can take the life of someone else based off of where he goes, and this happened already in Katrina. We heard stories when people were leaving New Orleans and they had individuals stopping at bridges to say you cannot, militia stopping you at bridges saying that you cannot pass this bridge and come into this territory. So although the mindset and the wreck and the result is going to be blamed on George Zimmerman, the accessibility, the right to bear arms, the mindset of individuals who own guns in this country, and legislation that has allowed them to have unlimited amount of guns in this country, is to blame at the end of the day, Norm. That's complete. That's my idea on this.
Okay, we're gonna switch it. You have your hoodie on.
Yes.
Symbolizing the Million Hoodie March.
Yeah.
The march was okay. The message of the hoodie bothered me greatly.
It bothered me too. It does.
The message of the hoodie, because in reality, let's be for real, I brought my child up, take that hoodie off your head.
Yeah, and I do the same thing too.
Because
and that's what go ahead, I'm sorry.
Tell Derek is a grown man. Take that hoodie off your head. The police will stop you.
Yeah.
It might blow your brains out.
Yeah.
You can't walk around like that. You scare people.
Yeah, and I wanted us to talk. You're a father of 2 black males.
23-year-old and 17.
Yeah, I'm the father of a 16-year-old male. The idea that I have to teach my son protocol when he leaves the house. He lives in Charlotte. He comes here every month for vacation days, off of his vacations. Before he leaves the house, I prep him on what he needs to do to leave this house.
Yes.
Before you leave this house, Saquon, you are not to look any police officers in the eye.
We had a subject on that. We're going to have to go with that. We got to stop that.
We're going to stop? Okay.
No. We're not going to stop it in terms of commercial break.
Oh, all right.
We want you to elaborate on why your son can't look the police into the eye.
I don't want him looking police in the eye until I'm in the presence of him.
If something happens.
If something happens. Because we have so many stop and frisk, we have so many trigger-happy police in this city that I don't want that cop feeling like my son's a threat. I don't want that cop feeling like he's not in control of the situation until I get there.
Not to interject, but for our audience to know, being a young black man, people don't realize if you grew up and you looked the police in the eye, that was grounds for them to stop you.
Yes, I grew up in Queensbridge housing projects. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, I used to run blocks and I used to own like 4 gangs prior to going to college in Queensbridge.
Get out of here with that.
See, why nobody? I don't understand. Am I not ferocious looking enough?
I can't with that.
Run
but anyway, moving right along.
All right, so listen. I grew up in Queensbridge housing projects, the largest housing projects in the country. All right. We were told not to look police officers in the eye because that is grounds for them to stop you.
Yes.
And then when you're looking somebody, when I'm in the business world, I look somebody in the eyes because that's what you want them to trust you.
Yes.
It's totally different on the streets or when you're dealing with a police officer.
Yes.
They're so used to being in positions of power here that's almost a threat. And then now it's a machismo situation now.
Without a doubt.
Now, if my son looks this man in the eye in front of his partner, now that's almost a declaration
but other
of war.
ethnic groups don't realize, they're finally just grasping the fact that we're saying the police have been targeting us forever, law enforcement. So bear in mind, I am pro-law enforcement.
Yeah.
But these are realities of which we grew up on. So if you look law enforcement in the eye, you will be stopped.
You will be stopped.
Yes.
And I need my son to allow this police officer to be in control of the situation until I can get there.
Yes.
I need him to feel powerful. I need him to feel like he's doing his job because I don't want a tragedy like this happening with my child.
Okay, with that note, we're going to get right back on that. With that note, we'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors. Let's pay the bills. We're back. Saquan Jones, Black Father's Perspective.
All right, I want to get some your ideas too, but I'm just saying I don't have my son come out the house with his pants off his behind.
Never.
All right. Now, for me to say it is because when we did it, like in my generation did it.
Different era.
It was a different era, but I don't want to be hypocritical and tell him that he can't do it. I want to make sure that he realizes that
I do.
Yeah, no,
you can't do it.
You can't do it. I agree because it looks terrible. But I want to make sure that, and I tell him that we did it, but it's 2 different times. The accessibility to guns, the accessibility to issues that police officers face that they cannot seem to deduce a threat from someone who is a non-threat based off of physical appearance stops me from allowing him to do it, even if that was what he wanted to do. He can't do it because it's terrible and I'm not allowing him to do it, but he double can't do it because of what it symbolizes and the potential for wrong to happen to him if he leaves this house.
Okay.
But black males should be able to do it. You understand? I don't agree with the fashion statement.
The hoodie over the head.
The hoodies. I don't agree with pants off your behind. I think it's absolutely disgusting. But because a black male does it doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the opportunity to do it.
But here's what happened. We don't control our media. And this is why we do what we do here.
Yeah.
So because we allow other groups to help determine who we are, when you watch these music videos, you see guys talking some real thuggery stuff. I'm going to be a thug. I'm going to sell drugs and everything else. And they might have a hoodie on their head. When crimes is committed, they might have a hoodie on their head. But this guy, Mr. Zimmerman, was in a total different thing here.
Yeah.
When he was saying Coons this, and you followed this man in his car. He was on the phone with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And while he was on the phone with his girlfriend, the girl told him he should run.
Yeah.
And first he said no, but I believe he did. Then he thought he lost him, and there you go, Mr. Zimmerman is there again.
But the fact that it was raining that day.
Yes,
was
you needed the
why he had it.
Yes, you needed
So I can't I can't wear a hood on. I can't protect myself from the elements because now the idea is that if I dress a certain way, and that's what I'm saying to my son, you can't dress a certain way. And this is why I'm telling him, you can't wear a hoodie. You can't wear your pants off your behind. You can't wear certain things because not only is law enforcement's perception of you going to be associated with negative situations, but you have regular citizens who now think this.
Yes. What would you say if I said this moment here can change the world, the U.S. as we know it?
It absolutely.
Because
I would
this
believe
movement, I call this a movement now. I don't want to call it the Million Hoodie movement, but I'm saying this movement where white America now realize, hey, guess what? We can finally sit there and say that I realize what the black man has been saying, that guess what?
Yes, absolutely.
Law enforcement, they're unfairly targeted. We can say that we really have to say something is happening here, that maybe these people are not imagining things.
Maybe
they finally figured it out.
Maybe President Obama is not going through what he's going through because he's a terrible president, but because of how his physical appearance may be.
His complexion. Exactly.
Now, I don't want to make things about race at all.
But when do you say, why not? Because I'm a person also that don't like to deal with the race excuses.
Exactly. I hate it.
In this scenario here, this is all about race. There was a young black kid walking. There wasn't no crime committed. He didn't even know for a while that he was being followed. You're being targeted. So you have to realize and say, hey, wait a minute. We got something going on in our communities that the people been talking about. So Rachel Maddow, Ed Schultz, Al Sharpton, Michael Bazin, who's out in Florida, they're all out there in Florida right now, leading a very big movement. I believe this could be a real powerful stand.
I really believe that too, and it transcends itself into politics as well. Yes. Where you have President Obama, who is trying to go to the store, get an Arizona iced tea and some Skittles, and then come back home and
hope you can make
it. And then now all this man wants to do is get this country on track, and you have people who are following him and watching him and feeling threatened because of his physical appearance.
That law needs to be abolished.
Stand your ground.
Stand your ground in Florida and quite a few
23 other states. 23 other states have it. I don't know if they're going to change it.
The author of that bill in Florida is willing to repeal the bill.
Yeah. Yep. But I don't believe that's going to happen. The way that the bill is written, George Zimmerman violated the bill.
How's that?
Once he pursued him. Once he was instructed by a 911 not to follow him, and he continued to follow, he pursued the bill, right? I don't believe in guns at all. I have an issue with guns. I think that people who utilize guns psychologically need to progress in their use, which is why, you have a certain amount of individuals who are willing to go that far to utilize guns, and it only takes one time for you to do it. You have Virginia Tech, you have the massacre in Afghanistan, you have this situation where people are taking innocent lives based off of personal issues.
Tell me, have you heard this? How many people is in his patrol?
In Zimmerman's patrol?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I'm assuming you're saying it as if it's zero then.
No, I don't know how but he's in the neighborhood watch. How many people is in the program?
Oh, no.
It's a question that needs to be answered.
Well,
answered. I never heard it. Wait. Mm-hmm. Here's the second question. Are they too carrying firearms? And does this mean not just in Florida, but all over? Maybe we need to look at in some of those states. Are these guys borderline vigilantes?
No, that is what happened during Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, we know. We
had militias who were preventing
Blackwater.
Yeah, we had numerous instances where people were fleeing New Orleans and trying to get away from the city, and it was stopped because you had militias who were not allowing safe passage.
But walking while black.
Yeah,
and they got rewarded with multi-billion-dollar contracts in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's Blackwater.
This is just absolutely. I have no words for this.
But they were rewarded for suppressing people of color.
Okay.
Now they have helicopters and tanks and everything else. And somebody needs to tell us, do you start an investigation to find out what are these neighborhood groups doing? Or do they have arrest records? What are they doing? You know, it's okay to police your community.
Yeah.
But in those states where you're carrying and concealed weapons, people need to know. But we're going to close this out. We got a great deal of footage to show you.
Well, what I would like to talk about before we close it out, though, is the accessibility to guns in this country. Can we discuss that? We have 5 minutes.
We don't have it. We got a great deal of. We got what? Give us 1 minute. Give us 1 minute.
Well,
let's see your opinion on it.
Let's wrap it up then. Let's wrap it up
because we got a lot of footage to show. But what I will tell you is, the NRA is very powerful. Do you agree?
Accessibility to guns is absolutely crazy. They have 100 million guns in this country.
It will never change.
And we have 300 million people.
It will never change.
All right.
Obama almost didn't get elected if he didn't say I wasn't going to take away your guns, guards and guns.
Yeah.
That's what he had to tell him in Pennsylvania.
All right.
We're out. We look forward to hopefully by next week or maybe tomorrow we can tell you George Zimmerman has been locked up. Hope he don't make bail.
Hope not either.
If it's a person of color, he would have been in jail. With that note, we're out. God bless. Good night.
Zimmerman should have been arrested that night. Zimmerman had probable cause that night. You cannot defend yourself against a pack of Skittles and iced tea.
You are our strength. You guys are what keep us going. If Trayvon would have been alive, Trayvon would have been at this rally. Trayvon was a people's person. He didn't deserve to die. And I pledge I will not let my son die in vain.
When you see a kid walking, Juliet, when you see a kid walking down the street, particularly a dark-skinned kid like my son Cruz, who I constantly yelled at when he was going out wearing a damn hoodie or those pants around his ankles, take that hood off. People look at you and what do they think? What's the instant identification? What's the instant association? It's those crime scene surveillance tapes. Every time you see someone sticking up a 7-Eleven, the kid's wearing a hoodie. Every time you see a mugging on a surveillance camera or they get the old lady in the alcove, it's a kid wearing a hoodie. You have to recognize that this whole stylizing yourself as a gangster, you're going to be a gangster wannabe, well, people are going to perceive you as a menace.